Hi, I'm Robin Schultz with the Hoover Channel. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you'll always know when we have a new video coming up.
All right, good afternoon. I'd like to go ahead and call the March 31st, 2025 Cahaba Solid Waste Authority meeting, Disposal Authority meeting together. Call it to order and ask the secretary to call the roll.
Blake Miller,
Here.
Jeff Downs,
Here.
Jeff Sazette,
Here.
Josh Bryant, Larry Holcomb,
Here.
Berkeley Squares,
Here.
JJ Biscuit,
Here.
Sam Gaston, Steve Boone, Gretchen DeFonte, here, Buddy Cho,
Here. All right. You have in front of you, or it was not in front of you, I'm sorry, it was distributed earlier, the minutes from the November 18th meeting. So I guess we need to entertain a motion to approve those.
So moved.
Your second.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Move on. All right, so, the biggest thing we wanted to get to is really just have some update on some of the changes for hand waste on this. There's other items that we have on our agenda, but at this point, yeah, there you go, Rick. If you want to introduce your team, we've had some changes to the team since last time, so we have a chance to kind of introduce.
Yeah, thank you, Blake. So I think most of you know Randy Lee, directly seated to my left. Randy is our Chief Revenue Officer for the company. Helen Rand is our Vice President of HR. John Black is the local change. John previously had been our commercial operations manager for roll-off, front load, and toilet services. John has moved into the district manager role for the state of Alabama for us. Next to him on the left is Mike Lee. Mike is our Chief Development Officer for the company. And then to his left is David Mowry, who is with our corporate communications team. So, my change, as I think some of you all are aware, I had previously been the VP of Operations for Alabama and Louisiana. About a year ago at this time, moved to a Director of Public Sector Solutions position for the company. And recently, with some of the ongoing changes that we've had in the restructuring, I am now back in the VP of Operations for the entire company. So, not just Alabama and Louisiana. So, those are the changes that we got from a staffing standpoint from our side. John has been with us for 7 years, 9 years. I'm sorry, and really for the most part was highly involved in a lot of the startup of the municipal contracts for each one of the municipalities. So these are not new to him. He's had boots on the ground, seen it firsthand, working with our team, and really did this transition down in commercial ops role about 18 months ago. So he's pretty familiar with each municipal service offering that we have and the kind of some of the nuances to each. So super excited about having John in place. He's done a great job so far. Got some really good service information to share with everybody. Steve, we know we do have some opportunities in Mountain Brook and delivering to us. So John and I have had some conversations about that here within the last week as to some places that we want to change. So,
Well, welcome. John, I can speak from Hoover side. You're doing a great job. You and Daniel have been very responsive to myself and Mr. Grimes' inquiries and keeping us informed proactively, which is a welcome change. So thank you for that. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Just say that out loud in public. So
You want to jump into technology?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I'm sure everybody saw the article come out, WPRC, I guess. But the technology piece, tablets, we had an older version. We're in the process now of updating the software, getting a new tablet, and May 1st, we'll have all trucks equipped with the new tablet and the new software. So, that's kind of the end-all date, but by May 1st, we'll be fully operational on the tablets.
And will that be in all trucks?
Yes, sir.
Or one of the people back there?
Yes, sir. That's the first.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the first step. Just for the backdoor service. That's a little bit.
Does that include rentals as well?
Yes, sir. The rental fleet, kind of changing that out as well with trucks that we purchased and lease trucks. So, I think, yeah, we'll be changed out on that part. That kind of coincides with the exit of the rentals from the fleet.
Okay, all right. So I think the last time we talked, it was our last meeting, the goal was to have it installed by the end of December. So is that because we've got newer tablets and newer software that had to be purchased? Is that what you're?
So we purchased the tablets and they were in play earlier in the year. With the new updates that have come out, we made the decision to go ahead and purchase the new tablets and do the update of the software at the same time. So those are all currently in transition, yes.
So that decision really is what delayed that really till May 1st?
Yes, sir.
Well, this include the trucks out of Montgomery as well.
Yes, sir.
Rick, with this technology, will it be available that at the end of each month, a report can be generated from that, I think most of us use, the same type of system where it's reported that it was missed as to how many actual were misses and how many they didn't have the card out or whatever it may be. Is that something that?
Yeah, you can run it by as long as the driver's updating the activity, car not out, or unable to get up driveway.
Yeah. Okay.
That's easy to do.
Okay.
So what Hoover has requested, and what we requested in the last meeting was daily reports, not just monthly or quarterly reports, and that way we can stay on top of what's been missed.
Yeah.
On a daily basis.
Okay.
You also give it, providing those after May 1st?
Yeah, I don't see that as being an issue.
So, all right. And that would be then daily reports to all entities, is that right?
Anybody that requests it, looks like.
Okay. All right. Do we need to formally request that from you?
No, we just, they send it to us.
So, no.
Got it.
Thank you.
And any that would like to do it in the future, by all means, please let us know. But, we'll start off certainly with planning.
So yeah, for me, make sure you got Wendy on that.
We can, or
Yes,
just do it.
We'll handle it from there. You can go to those three. Thank you. All right, any other questions regarding technology? Hearing none, let's move on. So service, really this is kind of an update on service. I'll let each entity, municipality speak on your own behalf, but speaking from Hoover's behalf, we are trending significantly better than we have been. We're back to what we would call that world-class service level, and we are very appreciative. So thank you for the work that you put in to correct that. Thank you. Oh, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you've got anything you want to say, great. If you don't, everything's
I mean, from a vestigial's perspective, we've been pretty status quo. We've had pretty high level of service. There have been, over the course of the last several years, maybe a couple of months where there was a noticeable decline. But outside of that, we've had a fairly good citizen survey, and we have a whole number of questions we asked the residents on the sanitation service and their response when there's a complaint or an issue, and we had really good positive responses from the residents. So that was gratifying, not perfect, but real good positive response as far as reaction when complaints is generated. So we're satisfied. It's a daily, weekly, monthly effort to just stay on top of it and continue our efforts to improve the service together.
The only issue we're really having is people saying that, well, they're calling us saying, hey, they took my can. I didn't pay my bill, but when we go back and find out, it's the can getting destroyed, it's just getting dumped in the arms. Whoever's operating the arms is not, if it's trained properly, they're just not being cautious enough that they're ripping the cans apart. And then they're calling us, wanting us to replace them. And, we're being limited to what we get now. We don't have a stockpile like we used to. It's just a lot, and then there's like, okay, when am I gonna get another can?
Right, right, that's certainly understood, Mayor. And I know, John, you had just responded in internal communication with our customer service manager. You want to share just the update on the auto side?
Yeah, cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've about 2 weeks behind the new loaded cards from Auto. I did ask for an update today from Auto. I was told that they're hoping to get their Charlotte location to go ahead and process order. We could see something in the next 7 to 10 days. So, we are actively removing suspended accounts, but that's sort of the process. Once those cards, we get the cards, we got to clean them up, and then they go back out. So, for your direct question, though, I think that's definitely could be truck, but most of the time that is a driver-related issue. So,
And before, we've always kept extra cans
Sure.
at our cities where whenever somebody turns, we'll go get the damaged one if they have it there, and bring it back and then swap it out. But we've been limited on that a lot lately too.
Gotcha.
I think with the new load, where we should be able to.
And then when the can gets tore up, it's like, y'all behind on the cans, we don't have no more stock, so people are like, okay, how can I get my trash picked up? Because, y'all tell us to put it out there in the bag and they'll get it. They never pick it up if it's just sitting on the ground.
Understood. Yeah, we'll when we get these new cans, we'll make sure to get some to you, and then I'll look into the issue by going into the truck as well.
And Rick, if you want to, you can send Brandy the information about things.
Okay.
In Pelham, we're maintaining service levels above 99%, so we're doing great. We have had some challenges with nature chasers, which we've been in communication with Amwaste about, and I think it's just been a matter of communication and maybe even looking for some more efficient ways for us to work on that, which we had talked to Rick about when he came to visit us last week. So, they're doing well.
Trucks are doing well on the surface level too. We're still pushing about 99%. Our communication is also tremendous. It's been great. Been a lot of help in solving some of the problems.
With planning, we're doing well. I was concerned with some of the staffing changes, but there hasn't been a drop off. With Quinn, he's still responsive and everything, so we're good.
Yeah, we're the same in Homewood. Rick, you and I met, we talked. I think our biggest thing, we're running into the same thing about the cards. If you're 2 weeks behind, I think the biggest complaint we get from citizens, they don't get a response back as to when if it's gonna be 2 weeks, then let us or them know so we can work to figure something out between then. That's the biggest complaint we get is if they put in for a card replacement, they'll go a week or two and no card and we get no response. That's the biggest, I think, issue that we have as far as service and pickup. It's really improved over the last year tremendously. So that part we're good. It's just getting some information to the citizens on the card whenever they do. So that's other than that, that's all we got.
Yeah, so, you know, just, as a collective, note for everybody, our current service level performance is 99.94% service success, which amounts to 6.1 MPUs for 10,000 services. So that's the collective Q1 performance in 2025 for the authority as a whole. So, you know, a lot of kudos to John and the team for getting that taken care of for us and staying on top of it. Because I think we had an opportunity to share with most of them, you know, did not expect any service issues associated with our internal transition, and only hope that they'd be approved, and I think that's continued. So, in any event, thank you all for the comments, and it certainly are intent to continue to provide that level of service we can do this operation. So, and address the issues. We've got the right guy sitting next to John, Mike Lee can handle that for us. So, probably most of you all are aware of the article that came out in mail.com today. And so, David Mowry with our corporate communications team did have an opportunity to speak to the board. Share some of the same information that I'll share with you here. And this is a manual report that I keep, but the reporting that I get is not manual. It's from these entities, and so we have, since we initiated service, have utilized two different facilities for recycling. We've utilized Repower South, and in the event that they've been down for an extended period, where there have been transportation issues, getting the volume from our recycle pad in Silver Spring down to Montgomery, which has been contracted out to third parties. We have utilized Big Sky Environmental. At both of those locations, there are landfills. Silver Spring location, it's our owned and operated C&D, construction and demolition landfill. We have a recycle pad there. At Big Sky, it is a MSW full service landfill, class 1. They have a recycling pad there as well. They are segregating that material and they take it down to VLS in Vernon. Okay? Their primary focus of recycling is the repurposed materials for alternative fuel source. Very much the same as Repower is. Okay? They do not have the same sorting capacity that Repower does on paper goods, plastics, aluminum, etc. They are utilizing those materials, though, in the repurposed fuel to go ahead and generate that volume that they in turn are selling to the cement plants. So I had telling some of you all earlier, I keep a running cold relief on when I get these reports. And so last year, the total for the authority between Repower and Big Sky, we delivered 22,653.79 tons for recycling. Just to give you an idea, and Berkeley, I think you asked me a couple of meetings ago about sending this video. Apologies, I'll be more than happy to send this out. Had we landfilled those same volumes, the cost to us would have been $588,998. Because we processed it or sent it for recycling to be processed, it cost us $1,132,689. So, as we committed on multiple occasions, I committed to you personally, our intent when we collect this material is to recycle. Okay? I can't speak to air tag, which really would be considered e-waste, should not be going into landfills anyway. I can't speak to why it stayed at Big Sky as it was brought up in the I don't know. So I certainly want to give you confidence level that we are continuing to do what we committed to you from day one. We will certainly follow up with our partners, and when I say partners, they have accepted our lions to ensure they are handling accordingly. But we're doing what we told them we were going to do, and we'll continue to do that. You know,
Rick,
we'll continue
to that point, can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
So, clearly there are skeptics out there.
Sure.
And those skeptics call the city, they call media, and what we can rely upon is our contractual obligation with you. And you are reporting what is delivered to the Plan A, which is repower.
Yes, sir.
Plan B, which is Big Sky.
Yes, sir.
And don't you even have a Plan C if you needed one, right?
Yes, sir. We're
So you are fulfilling contractually the delivery of the recyclables for one recycling day to those locations. Is there a way to continue to reinforce the validity of our program for either Repower or Big Sky to generate something to show their throughput to either, in the case of Repower, they're selling commodities and producing pellets when they're open and when they're functioning. With Big Sky, I don't know how you measure their throughput, but is there some way to provide, in addition to your report of what's being delivered, some kind of mechanism to at least try to appeal to the skepticism?
Yes, sir. I think we can certainly, request that information from them. I don't know, I would assume they would track something along those lines. Yeah. I can't commit on their behalf, but I can certainly commit that we will ask that.
And if you don't mind, this may be me going on the soapbox here, but when the article came out this morning, I went back to my 2020 documents. And my 2020 documents go to when the city of Vestavia Hills as the first one to use Repower South up here and to work with and Waste. I looked at what we were doing before and what we were doing after. And I know this is preaching to the choir here, but our method before using either Repower or Big Sky with and Waste as the transporter, we used Birmingham Recycling and Recovery, the BRR. And as many people will remember, there was no commingle. So you couldn't commingle the trash. You had to pick it up separately, which meant you could arguably, if you had two regular routes, you had a third route. And there was a huge cost to that third route. So basically, on converting to that second pickup day to be commingled, BRR couldn't handle it. And so our only game in town was to work with Waste to find alternate users. And from my perspective, we need to validate and get the confidence where possible of the skeptics that our process is truly as good as it can be. But also we need to recognize the fact that the alternative, which is BRR and not commingling, has a huge price tag to it if you opt into the recycling. I think that needs to be continually refreshed about what is the alternative. And then the only third alternative could be potentially people choosing to pay for their service and doing something that they would like to have done. But so I just wanted to, when I looked at it, for us it meant $1 million. $1 million if we stay the old way versus the more efficient way of commingling and taking it to a third. And in this case, it's either Repower or Big Sky. Just to refresh memories.
And are there any other questions, Lon? recycling? Fuel credit update. So, part of what prompted the call for transition on our local team, performance related. And, I was probably under the same opinion I think that all of you were regarding our fueling program and what we were doing and that, we were seeing the rebates coming through. I get a copy of the monthly billing by home, so I was seeing the pricing drop down, which I was assuming, shame on me, was associated with fuel credit. What I came to find out 2 weeks ago, is that we did not in-house update the computer system as it was supposed to be. It is being done as we speak. It should be in place within the next 10 days. We have not ordered and received any loads purchased at the lower rate without the fuel tax, which is the agreement. So that's on us. We are diligently working through that. It will be done. I'll see to it personally. And I know John and his team are all over it, but fuel credits should be forthcoming for April. And I know you've heard that before, and I apologize.
You say you haven't purchased any fuel yet?
We've purchased fuel, but not at the discounted rate. We have not purchased it with the authority pricing.
Where are you putting that fuel in purchasing?
We've got two 10,000 gallon
You haven't
tanks.
put any fuel in the authority's tanks?
No, sir. No, not as I understand. Is that correct? No. So, I don't know why. I wish I could tell you, Steve. I don't know why it wasn't finished.
I don't know why we put all that effort into
Oh, I
getting
know.
those tanks in that system, and then we're gonna sit there and just look at them empty.
That same thing I said 2 weeks ago. So it just makes no sense. And I'm sorry. I don't know what else to tell you other than to be honest with you. But I can assure you that it will be in place here.
Since our trucks don't utilize the Birmingham facility, if we were going a different route from Clinton, will that show up in our billing cycle for April as well?
Yes, true. All right. What's that? Recycling education?
Really, all that one was, but first, is there any other questions on the fuel credit? Did you need to go through this one?
We can when we wrap up the agenda item, if that's all right. That's kind of my thought.
Yep, no problem. The recycling education, that's kind of a holdover from previous meetings on something that we thought could be valuable to get out to our residents, especially in light of the article that just dropped, just to do an educational piece to get out there.
Right.
And that one includes statistics on the recycling volume from the authority, and then just a little short video piece to address some of the recycling education. That was something that we had asked for in the past. Is that something that?
Yeah, we can certainly, I'll put together the reporting, the statistical side. I think we just want to talk through what we want to do on the recycling side. And
Yep.
we've got a pretty good group on that with people doing that.
I think on the trash collection side, that video that was done pre-Christmas, I think that helped out a lot.
I agree.
So if we could do something like that for the recycling piece,
Right.
that doesn't necessarily need to be done in response to the article that was written,
Right.
or just dropped, but to have that moving forward, it adds, clears up a lot of questions.
Yes, sir. One of the things, and this, I would ask this, I guess, from each of you, it's not an agenda item, but just, we've talked, had a lot of conversations with Jason Franklin from City of Hoover about this, that in those contracts, and I think some appear to do better than others, and John, maybe you can, kind of do some thought on there, some background. when we have had a storm, small storm, we're not talking about large trees and things along those lines, but when we've had smaller winds knock down. And I sent Jason, so, my yard's about an acre, in size. I've got wooded area all over my property. Whenever it storms, I get knocked down winds. I had a pile probably about the size and about this tall of limbs that I picked up out of my yard just about a month ago. We were communicating with Jason about, hey, if there's any way possible for us to try and get communication or request out to residents, and rather than, it would have taken me a good bit of time to take that bundle down to the curbside for a boom collection pickup. I broke it up and put it into a 95-gallon cart. And I know that was a little more effort on my part, took me 16 minutes, but a pile of this size of just limbs stacked on top of each other took me 16 minutes to break up and put in my car. That morning, the next morning, when our driver came through to service my neighborhood, those were gone. They weren't out at the curbside. There was no delay, and it allows our drivers to get that one collected faster and get it out of the neighborhood. So I don't know how we best communicate that, but if there's some way that we can request residents to, if it will fit your park, please put it in there, and don't just leave a pile out by the side of the street. We would be better off in keeping the cities clean if they can help us do that. And I'm not asking them to go above and beyond and break out chainsaws or anything, but if they can fit the park, put it in there. Bags included. Personally, years when I picked up homes that 3 or 4 bags sitting out to the side, which is not a problem, but had 2 carts out and both of them were half full. Where the bags could have been dropped into the carts and we could have automated it instead of handling it. Just a request. Maybe we can work through how we best communicate or word something along those lines. Maybe a video would help, I don't know, but it certainly would keep the streets clear.
Yeah, and I think all of our public information officers would be happy to get that message out as well. We want to partner with you and expect the same partner with us.
Absolutely.
And if that's how we address this, then I think that's an easy way to get that message out.
Yes.
So yeah, let's-
Absent from that, still incumbent upon Amway's to pick up.
It is, yes, sir, yeah. I'm not saying that we're gonna stop picking them
I
up,
don't know if
Steve.
you're ever gonna get all residents trained to do what they're supposed to do.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. And I think different communities, for whatever reason, appear to be more mindful in that than others. Can't explain it to you, but it just appears to be the way that it is. So,
You probably have one on the street, about the only one that's gonna do it.
Well,
We know Jeff would do it.
I rode through 60% of my neighborhood, which is over 1,000 homes, and I took pictures of what appeared to be 78 can piles that were put out that week. They were all fresh, and it was post-storm, so I got it, but I bet you 75 and 78 could fit in the park.
Most of ours leave the Amazon box on the side of it. Clamshell pick
Right.
Put it in the can.
But yeah, let us work together on that.
Yes, sir.
And we can do that outside of this meeting, but let's get a plan together to do that.
Yes, sir.
Very good. All right, Roger, do you want to address the next item?
I think we have a question about direct billing by the authority for the city of Trussville. I know it's a change. We've started having some of the preliminary discussions, if you recall, from our initial contract that we had. We sort of did a plan where you could just pick along the way. And while we discussed discussed subscription service and direct billing. It wasn't something that we included in there. There could be an amendment to that contract, which would have to happen, as well as an amendment to the City of Trustill's administration of solid waste collection. We're still working through the details to bring back to you. I understand Amway's attorney was sort of traded some information back and forth. And we got relatively close, but not in the final form to present to you so that you could actually consider it. And I know that this was, from the City of Trustill's perspective, switching to direct billing is something that would be helpful for them as a city. And so we're just trying to see if we can make it work based on our current contract terms.
But we're not ready to present that yet. Is
Not
that-
today. We don't have it ready today, but we hopefully will have it ready in the next couple of weeks, maybe within the next week, and as well as per our terms. If it is something that we can provide to you by way of resolution and everybody signs off on it, we could sign off on it to get the service started. Then at your next meeting, you would follow up and ratify it to the commission. So just keep that in mind.
Well, that wraps up the regular agenda. What, did you want to do this in this
Yeah,
session?
if you don't mind.
Yep.
It's up to you.
No, we're good.
Okay.
And this should match the handout. Is that
Yes,
right?
it is identical. So thank you, Commissioner, again, for putting this off. So, I'm not gonna go through it point by point, but just give you some high level. Yeah, I think we talked about where we are from the service perspective, authority overall, quarter to date for Q1 2025. Again, super proud of John and Birmingham team and what they've done, and continue to do. So certainly do not anticipate, that we'll deviate from the current services, and, I think we are positioned to do so. One talk through a little bit, Amway in the last 24 to 18, or 12 to 18 months, has had a pretty significant investment, to continue to provide these services, understanding that, I believe our current agreement runs through 2032. So, we are, or 2031, sorry, but, got, our senior management team provided site fleet assessments, to resolve some of the issues that, transpired back in the early part of last year. We relocated our core residential operations to, what we call the launch pad, Fleming Road. And you all can read through this, pretty significant investment in the additional, fleet upgrades, totaling, and the technology rollout, totaling $6.5 million, in 2024. You know, we've talked about some of this before, and as you noted, our labor costs, have spiked from 2020 to 21 and through 22, continue today. The majority of that's been addressed in previous increases, whether it's fuel surcharge, or the, just annual CPI. When we talk about investing $6.5 million and really about $5 million of that just being in equipment, when you take a look from when we started back in 2021 to current, the cost of buying a new truck today is about 40% higher than it was back then. Interest rates have impacted that, continuing, sharply increased 4%, which contributes to the higher cost of acquiring new equipment. So wanted to just give you kind of an overview of, where pricing is in the market for solid waste services. So, closest neighbor to the south, obviously, is Shelby County. Pricing for twice a week card-only service is now at $35.08 And then in the most recent Jefferson County RFP, we were the contractor, the award winner, and we did not have any bids. Although it went out to all of our competitors in the market, there were no bidders against us in that contract. The rate on that is for once a week service, $19.90 at home, and for once a week service with yard collection is $29.90. Okay? And so just wanted to give you a little feel of the landscape of what's going on, kind of where we stand, what the market is doing here in Birmingham. And then Wendy, I think that was the last page. And so as Randy and I had come around and had talked with you all, we identified, and I think we shared with you that there were some expense items that we felt like it went a different direction than they needed to go. But when we looked at our overall financial performance, collectively for the authority and then municipality by municipality, we were upside down on some stuff. And so with John's focus and his team's focus, just from pulling back in operational expenditures, and what we've seen from an equipment cost increase standpoint, the investment that we've made, we'd like to consider, have you all consider a request for a CPI to be effective October 1 that is north of the contractual agreement. And so certainly don't anticipate agreement at this point, and certainly open to further discussion. And I'm sure you all will like to have some discussion on it amongst yourselves, amongst your teams. But we are asking across the board for $4.35 per home increase to be effective October 1.
How much?
$4.35. The current, I didn't do it percentage-wise, Steve, but the current the March billings at 25.75 on yours would be at 26.75. I think Berkeley you're at 22.01. I think you're at the same rate. Yeah, I would think 22.01 also.
No, we're at 23.84.
Is that right? Okay,
Yeah,
that's right. We have the 25.75. So whatever that is. I'm sorry, I didn't actually calculate it.
It's like 17, just under 17%.
So, the reason we shared the other slide and kind of where the market is here, we're not looking to do anything other than get back to the margins that we were at in year one. When we first had the Hoover and Vestavia contracts as part of it, and I'm not saying the other contracts will steer this down. It's really been market driven, cost driven on our operating expenses and just the overall expenses of purchasing equipment. And so, we are asking this in your consideration. Certainly understand, not looking for a decision to be made right here, right now, but open to any questions that you all may have regarding.
Rick, is the 435 the total with the CPI?
Yes,
It's in the contract above, it's total.
Yes, ma'am.
Blake, can I, please? As we all know, escalation is in the contract, and there's something for us all to digest when we hear what's being presented here. I would like to, I've not seen, it's been referred to, I would like to see the most recent experience period or periods of revenue and expenses to that can, between now and over the next couple of months, digest that information and come back to the group as a whole with comments. And the timeliness for most of us, who most, I think, if not all, have an October 1 budget year, that we can digest, properly negotiate, and react to this request with all the knowledge and information at hand.
How large of a subcommittee are you?
I'm for you as our leader. I think, in order to consider it and appoint some people, I think a working group that, again, can report to the whole once we receive the information and digest it.
Okay. We'll take that into consideration. Thank you. Rick, is that something that, information that you can send to me?
Yeah, I would say no. There's no issue with that.
Well, I mean, if it's possible, I think like it's a lot easier for us, like, just linking it back to our financial statements. We could probably provide you with Cahaba on a consolidated basis that ties back to our financial systems. Much easier than having to disaggregate by municipality. Because when I look at Birmingham, we've got a separate location on income statements, and that's how we kind of have it set up on our accounting system. It's pretty easy for me to pull the information just for Birmingham residential as a whole, and then we can strip out Jefferson County, which obviously is not part of Cahaba, and that's pretty much what we do Cahaba. So if it's okay with y'all, we provide like consolidated information for Cahaba, and the financial components versus stripping it out by municipality, we can provide the information as well.
I think that that's something the committee can look at. Should we put that in a formal motion?
Whatever.
Let's do that. Let's appoint the committee at a later time, and then we'll discuss what information that committee gets.
So, I would make a motion that we give the authority to our leader, the president, this authority to create a subcommittee that will evaluate this requested increase effective October 1. That prior to meeting, we would have financials submitted by Amwaste to working group with a report to come back to the committee, to this group by June the 15th. I'm just throwing that out there based on budget cycles and such.
Helen is going to present their budget on the first week of June, so can we have it quicker than that?
Do you want to make sure?
I mean, we're sitting here in April, so May 15th, the recommendation.
I guess when I'm assuming the numbers are already there. You know what the numbers are. This is just a subcommittee of this team meeting with your folks to go over, hey, help us feel comfortable about what's behind the numbers,
Right.
so that we can come back and kind of assure the authority. Is that sort of what?
I arbitrarily threw up June 15th, but it's May 15th. It's just cover one leg for you to point and get them mobilized.
That's right.
Second.
There's a second. All right.
Back up, Gretchen, she's always got a total range in this conversation.
All right. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. That is a big motion. New task for me. Got it. Thank you. No, I think that's valuable information. So thank you.
That, like, one last comment, for each of you, we sincerely appreciate your business and the partnership that we have experienced to date. We have no desire to not continue that relationship. And so we sincerely appreciate your consideration and sincerely appreciate you and thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Is there any other comments from the board? Hearing none, heard a desire to go into executive session. I don't know if this one, but as we go into executive session, we will close the meeting from there. We will not reconvene. But would ask that the authority members stay back. All right, so I need a motion to adjourn to executive session. And a second. We have a question?
Don't know, I'm just a resident of that state. For the last 12 weeks, I've been dealing with hydraulic fluid leaks. It's in the plantation condos. Can't seem to get anything done. They have visited one time to spread. They got a gentleman by the name of Thomas. Came out with the red acid. Anyway, I've spoken to Johnny, Lori Beth, and Jay, at the city of West David. The issue of catastrophe that I have here was stretched all the way down the street to the apartment. Got another occurrence the next month, another occurrence the next day. So I don't know where to take this, but I do see we're going to have a meeting today, and I thought I'd bring it to everyone's attention. And if you don't mind, I would like to have some help. That's all I have to say about that.
What is, can you give me, I got the plantation condo, sir, can you?
So
tell me-
Rick, can we continue with what we're doing? Sir, I don't mean to cut you off.
Oh,
or
that's
cut
fine.
you
I didn't
off,
know how
but
to present it.
If you don't mind talking to Rick out in the hall, we have a motion and a second to adjourn to executive session. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Yeah, I'm sorry, we have to do a roll call vote. I'm sorry.
My understanding is that this is a discussion involving preliminary negotiations upon a matter of trade and commerce, in which the board is seeking competition with private individuals or other entities or government. So that's my understanding. Is that correct? So,
Jeff Suzette. Larry Holcomb. JJ Biscuit. Steve Boone.
Yes.
Gretchen DeFonte.
Yes.
Betty Choate. Jeff Downs.
Yes.
Blake Miller.
All right, that's a unanimous vote. We will adjourn to executive session.